I hope it's been a good couple of days for you. My name's Paul Phillips. I'm from Nutanix. You'll maybe notice as you walk in the door to the left. An honour today to be presenting to you, to give you an update of where Nutanix are and what we do, what our mission is, what we're looking to achieve in a very complex, crowded marketplace that we all live in the IT world. So what do Nutanix want to do? We absolutely want to simplify the data center. And we believe we have the technology and the solution to give you all the reasons why you'd want to go to the public cloud. Okay? Lots of talk around public cloud at the moment, the benefits of it, why you'd want to do it, why you wouldn't want to do it. And what we'll run through in the next 30, 35 minutes is how you can have that cloud-like infrastructure, that cloud-like experience on-premise. And about halfway through the presentation, I'm going to introduce one of our customers on why they chose to take on a Nutanix solution and the benefits that they saw. So it's good to see it from a customer's perspective. So if we look at the cloud, why are we moving to public cloud? What is so great about the public cloud? Well, clearly rapid time to market. If you want additional capacity, if you want to spin up VMs, running it in the cloud can be very, very quick. Your time to market is reduced massively. It's also very easy to do. 1 click, 2 clicks, and you've got that capacity. Obviously, once you've given your credit card over, but it's very simple to get up and running and very quick. And these cloud providers are continuously innovating as well. They're bringing out new ways of consuming data, consuming bandwidth, consuming what you need. It being a software-related technology, clearly you can do that a lot faster than in hardware. And we talk about this fractional consumption, so pay-as-you-grow model. You don't have to buy, you don't have to spend your whole budget in one go. You can start small and grow. So if you only want 10 terabytes, you only buy 10 terabytes. If you only want it for a week, you only have it for a week. You know, those models are in place to do it. And the workloads that we're using today, you know, clearly there's applications that fit very well in the cloud. And those are the sort of non-predictable, the elastic workloads that you might bring on. You don't know how much consumption you're going to be using. It might be burst traffic. That's a really good place to put it in the cloud because you don't want to buy infrastructure that's going to take that much applications and you find out that you're only getting half that. Okay, so using cloud type services for those kind of applications is a very good thing. But from the predictable workloads that you're using, you might want them in on-premise. You might want them there for governance reasons. You might want your data residing in your own data center rather than somewhere in a cloud. So it's that balance between, you know, what you want to own and what you want to rent. So would it be good if you could have all those benefits of the public cloud on-premise? So it would give you that frictionless technology, but it still gives you the control around governance, around SLAs, and clearly not giving you a lock-in to any one particular vendor. There's plenty of companies out there today that are offering cloud services, but what we found is that traditionally, the majority of it is still on old 3-tier architecture. Call it old, call it legacy. You know, what we've been doing for the last 20 years, building our data centers, probably every one of you have got this in your data center today, apart from John, and we'll talk about why. And the life cycles are complex, right? You buy silos. You know, there's lots of support challenges. When you have a problem here at the SAN, they start blaming the storage. When you have storage problems, they start blaming someone else. Sound familiar? You know, when you've got multiple vendors involved, troubleshooting, finding root cause can be time-consuming and difficult to predict. So my marketing people have always asked me to ask the audience, who's seen this advert? Not surprising, because it was in Forbes magazine, one person, right? And the US seem to think that everyone reads Forbes magazine over here in the UK. But it tells a story of really where Nutanix has come from and the IT industry as a whole. So if you go back to the 90s when VMware first came out, they really was a disruptive technology and a great technology, and it really revolutionized what we did in the data center. You know, things like DRS, HA, lots of great functions to move data around within your data center. But it came quite clunky when you start talking about cloud, and silos started to appear, and it became a lot more difficult to manage, which is why public cloud companies like AWS, like Azure, start offering a different solution. But the three-tier architecture that we've known and loved and we've talked about for the last 20 years was never really built for the cloud environment that we're living in today. And this is where Nutanix come in. Because if you ever get an opportunity to go to one of the Webscale companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Azure, they don't have the traditional three-tier architectures that we've probably got in our data centers today. They have racks and racks, and I mean racks and racks, rows and rows, miles long. Some of these data centers are 10 times the size of this hall, of 2U, x86, with direct attached storage, being managed by software. And effectively what Nutanix have done over the last 6 years is taken that web-scale approach, packaged it, and are delivering that solution to the enterprise today. So this is a logical diagram of what our data center could look like. It probably hasn't changed much in 20 years, to be honest. If you go back to the 2090s and look at some diagrams that you did of your data center, it would probably still look very much like this. Not much innovation. We collapse all of that into an appliance. So Nutanix are a software company, but we have appliance that we run on. This can be the Nutanix platform, it can be the Lenovo platform, or a Dell platform. You can start small with 3 nodes and start expanding. One of these 2U blocks can have up to 4 nodes in it, so you don't need 3 blocks to do it. But it gives you that start small and grow. It comes pre-installed with a hypervisor, our own hypervisor. So we're now moving into that virtualization layer. It gives you the ability, if you want, to upgrade that Acropolis hypervisor to ESX or Hyper-V. We give you that choice. So if you look at the picture on the left, traditional infrastructure to what Nutanix can offer today, and the latest version that we've offered, we bring that virtualization layer now into our solution, being as close to the apps as you possibly can, with built-in management and built-in virtualization. So if you look at it from a logical point of view, what does the Nutanix solution look like? I'm going to briefly go over this. If you want to understand more about our technology, please come along to the stand at the back right corner, and we'll go into much more detail. But essentially, each node has VM, a hypervisor, x86, and the clever bit from a Nutanix point of view is our CVM, the controller VM from Nutanix. That's where all the goodness, where all the software, where all the clever stuff sits. And a lot of the functionality that we offer is there below, from compression to tiering, snapshots, deduplication, clever stuff around locality that we do. We make sure that your data, the VM you are using, right, is as close to the application as possible, okay? If you move that VM for whatever reason through maybe a disaster or vMotion, you will have the software work in the background, so it brings that data to the VM, so you've got it instantly. There's different tierage from a flash, from hard disk, and it will put it onto the most appropriate tiering of storage. So if you're using that data on a regular basis, it's going to sit in the flash tier or the memory tier. If you're not using it, it then moves to cold storage. The reason why we have both flash and disk at the moment is obviously disk capacities are still far greater than flash, but that's changing over time, okay? And we're selling more and more of our flash-only arrays as well. So as I said, this starts off with 3 nodes and can scale. Our largest customers in the US, in excess of 2,000 nodes. There is no limitation with the Nutanix solution. So we've talked about some of the functionality around the distributed storage fabric. We've also got the app mobility fabric. And this comes with this foundation tool. This is the tool that gives you the ability to change hypervisors, to go from the Acropolis hypervisor to ESX or Hyper-V. And we've got one-click hypervisor conversion. We can also start adding functionality in here where we start moving to the cloud. So instead of moving to a different hypervisor, you could move to AWS or Azure. So what effectively we do is we start pushing stuff out to the cloud with our Cloud Connect technology. So today that's basic backup, but we have a roadmap of functionality that is going to enable you to push stuff from your on-premise, cloud-like environment to people like AWS and Azure, giving you that flexibility to expand. Look familiar? Three-tier architecture has a lot of different panels to look at, from your networking, from your storage, from your virtualization. You know, managing that environment is one of the biggest headaches our customers see today. Part of our solution is Prism. This is what it looks like. You can manage your environment from an iPad if you want to. You can upgrade your VMs from an iPad if you want to. We have a YouTube video running of someone cooking dinner with an iPad up against the kettle, actually upgrading their version of ESX from whatever to whatever, I can't remember. One click. That's how easy it is to manage a Nutanix environment. And that demo alone will take 2 or 3 minutes to show you. It's very, very impressive. And if you can manage your environment that easy, it gives you the sort of benefits of that simplicity of consolidating traditional architecture into a Nutanix solution. We talked about innovation. We're constantly innovating around software. A new functionality of our Prism is what we call Runway. So this will predict when you're going to run out of storage. So you don't need to buy additional software that tells you when you're going to run out. Diagram here shows in 28 days, Mr. Customer, you're going to run out of storage based on your current usage. Clearly there'll be a button at the bottom to say, please phone Nutanix to buy some more. We have to put that bit in, of course. But it will also tell you that some of the VMs that you've been using, you've not used for maybe 100 days or 200 days. If you delete those, Runway grows. So you might go from 28 days to 97 days. Right? So it's predicting when you're going to run out of capacity. Kind of the functionalities that we're adding to our software all the time. We also take security very seriously as well. And when you are producing the whole stack, right, it's a lot easier to control that from a security point of view. Traditional architecture, the storage people tend to focus on storage security. Virtualization companies tend to focus on virtualization. You normally have to go outside of that to get the security that you want. So having a full stack security lifecycle development program enables us to keep up to date with those risks. We also validate it on a regular basis. In actual fact, our biggest customer in the US that started the journey with Nutanix is the US federal government. And they very much help us get the product and solution today to its security levels that we've got with some of the certifications here. And clearly we're working with a very broad ecosystem of security partners as well. So we talked about innovation. So as each software release we brought out, okay, we've added functionality. So once you join the journey with Nutanix, these software upgrades are free. I'll talk about one in particular. So erasure coding. Okay, when we brought that in 4.5, it's a clever way of basically deduping the data. What we found is that it gave customers 25 to 30% increase in usable storage capacity. Free, just with an upgrade. So if you had 10 terabytes, you'd have 12/13 terabytes of storage back. When was the last time your storage vendor gave you a 30% increase in storage capacity at no cost? Okay? Seriously. This is the power of software and the speed and agility of how it can affect your business. Now, whenever we put this slide up, we always get a, oh, right? Because the numbers are very, very large. IDC did a study with our top customers around the globe and come up with some incredible numbers of payback in 7.5 months from an ROI. 98% fewer occurrences in downtime. But I'm going to pause here because obviously reports are one thing, but having a customer talk about their real life experience and their real benefits has much more power. So at this stage, I'd like to introduce Jon Forster to the stage to talk about what he did with Fitness First. Thank you, Jon. There we go.
Okay, what I'm going to do is to take you through what we have done at Fitness First. So I don't have a set of graphs and so forth. I'll leave all of that to Paul. How it all works underneath the bonnet, again, if you have those questions, please ask these guys. I deal with actually using the technology. So what I'll take you through is what journey we have taken to go from what we call the old world or the legacy world or whatever you want to call it to the new world. How we've fitted that into the hosting strategy, that journey which we've taken, we've very much gone down this hybrid approach. So it's something, which Paul was saying earlier. And then what does the end state look like now? Because we are running all of our applications on this new hardware and software. And then just to run through some of the benefits which we have seen. So firstly, this is not a sales pitch for Fitness First. It's just so you have an idea of where what I'm talking about. Fitness First run lots of gyms, health clubs, places to go and feel a bit better. We're across 16 countries. There's 1 million members. And there's some club open somewhere all the time. Some clubs are open the whole 24 hours of the day. So it's a business which is constantly running, it's constantly operating, and it's also a business which there's a lot of demand of being able to do things quickly. In terms of the applications, it's a question I'm always asked, what do you actually run on this stuff then? It's a combination of in-house, so all of the main system which we have to manage all of the membership and everything else to do with the gym, we actually write that in-house. We use a third party now in order to help us do that. And as with everyone else, we buy things off the shelf. So we had a nice mix of the two. The applications which we have, some work across the whole globe, one application, everybody uses it, and some run in the various regions. And a key thing as well is we're very much a Microsoft house. One of the first things I did was to actually go through and streamline what we have. And a big step of that was to move away from having so many different types of Unix, Linux, the works. And we have very much focused on being a Microsoft house. So I was brought in to have a look at what is holding back Fitness First from being able to do things more quickly, more efficiently, and do that great thing of don't let IT hold the business back. And when we looked at this, we came up with what is the strategy which we need to follow. So we didn't go out and say what different types of systems are out there, what different types of architecture and so forth. We really want to take a step away from that and say, what do we want to do with it? And then let's go and see if there are technologies which can actually match what we want to do. So we wanted to reduce down. So we had one of everything, I think. We wanted things that would work together. Because one thing which was holding everything back is the more you have from different vendors, especially around hardware, you run at the speed of the slowest. So you can make it all work great day one, and then day two, if someone adds a bit, changes it, you suddenly have to say, well, I can't take that nice new stuff because it won't work with this old stuff. So we wanted something that would work together. We wanted to have proven solution partners. So when we did take any different technologies, it had to work together. I didn't want one company who didn't get on with another one. And it had to have good support. That was really key. Because what we wanted to do is that if there was an issue, and it doesn't matter what technology you have, you're always going to have one at some point, they really had to take it and deal with it and not say, it's not us, it's them. That was really important because that's something which they had been facing before. And we came down to these 4 words down at the bottom. Simplicity, flexibility, so if we want to grow or shrink. The business, especially around the fitness industry, it grows and shrinks. You know, you buy clubs, you sell clubs, you go into a region, you come out of a region. It needs to be efficient. What I mean by that is finance people have to like it. And it needs to give that optionality. So if the business wanted to make some step change, again, we were not holding them back. So what journey have we taken? We've moved very much from left to right. So it's a fairly good journey to make left to right. We used to run on server, SAN, as everyone else did, and an awful lot of it. I'll show you on the next slide, but there's 18 racks of kit. And that's just in one of the data centers which we had over in Amsterdam. As I'm sure some of you here probably still are, running 13-year-old Windows, 11-year-old SQL. Because again, part of that was, well, the old hardware, you need old everything. The development which we did was slow, and it was inconsistent. So we'd have that classic situation of it works on my laptop, but it didn't quite work when we tried to push it down the different environments. And that's because with old hardware and an old way of operating, you can't quickly spin up another instance of it. So it was physical, it was complex, it was expensive. People in the IT team thought a real job was checking that the backups worked last night and make sure the tapes go off site and make sure the lights are green. Not very enthralling jobs. So what have we moved to? Very much new technologies. We didn't take anything from left to right, nothing. You know, when I sat down with the finance people, I said it's going to cost more, it's going to cost you more to save than just going out and getting new. You know, if you want me to keep this old bit of crap tin, because it's got a little bit of value in it, it's going to cost so much more to actually do that, and it won't hit what we're trying to achieve. So we moved to the latest Windows, the latest SQL. We've changed the way which we do all of the development very much down this DevOps process. It's so much faster now because we can do small little bits much more quickly instead of having to bundle everything up and do a big release. And we've gone down the hybrid solution route. So we do use on-prem and cloud. And it is nicely seamless, actually. So I've already said this one, but we've moved from 18 racks to, this is an image which I've pinched from one of the tech guys. That is what it looks like. There's hardly anything there. Actually had one of the senior people came over from one of the other regions, took him down to the data center because he was intrigued for some reason. I opened up the cabinet and he went, so where's the rest? And I went, oh, hold on, that's in the other cabinet. So I opened cabinet 2. And he went, you've spent money and all you've got's this. I said, yeah, if I could have less of this, it'd be great. We have very much work to make Azure become part of the network. And it is. We use Express Route. We use a really good data center. And we've very much chosen to make sure that the data center, everything else, we can make full use of Azure. And we use it for all of the backups. So nothing is backed up on, you know, we do, I think, 3 days, which we keep on-prem, but at exactly the same time, we push everything up into Azure. So if there's an issue, a real major catastrophe, the data is not going to be lost at the same time. Also means everything to do with tapes, everything to do with all of the backup solutions, everything else like that, all goes away. We use it for DR. So when we built one of our key systems, the one that does billing, we failed it over, the guys who looked after it said, "Are you sure? Because it's exactly the same." I said, "Yeah, that means it's worked." So that works really well. All of our websites, we don't want to hold those on-prem. Why would you? So all of the hosting, we use Open Azure. Obviously, that ties straight down, straight into systems which we have on-prem. So make a change in one place and out it goes. So we've ended up with this. We have Nutanix sitting there in the middle. There's our Microsoft, which we use. Redgate to make sure we can manage everything from the database side. We push everything out using Octopus and so forth. Most of these, I'm sure, you've seen the logo before. Probably half of them are out there. We picked these because we knew when we sat down with Nutanix, they know who all these people are. The other great thing was, when we got this designed and implemented, it was using the guys from Nutanix. So I said, look, we're going to use F5, virtual F5 load balancing and so forth. The guys from Nutanix, they didn't just say, oh yeah, we've heard of it. They actually set it all up. So we knew it was going to work. And everything does work very nicely together. I tend to be asked this one, so I thought I might as well do a slide. Why? There's lots of reasons why. But the key thing was it enabled this focus on using it and not managing it. I gave an example to some of the finance guys and the internal teams saying, think back 20, 25 years, something like that, when you bought a car and then you had to have loads of people to understand how the different parts worked and no one was quite sure, does the gearbox work with that and so forth. Now when you buy a car, you don't even think about that. You just get in it and drive. That's what we wanted to do. We just wanted to switch on the infrastructure and use it and not worry about, is it all working okay? So the guys who used to look after it, make sure the lights came on and the backup and everything, they've been retrained. They're far happier people. The guy who looks after all the backups is now a very good DBA. We wanted these partnerships, and you've seen that, I think. We wanted this modular approach, this, I think, pay as you grow. I like grow as you grow a little bit better. We bought some of these Nutanix blocks. They're about the size of a skybox, by the way. And the business was happy with it. And they said, right, put everything on it. So it's like, right, well, I'll go and buy another one. You plug it in, and it just gives you that full thing. It doesn't treat it as you've added something new. It's really good. Less moving parts, no doubt about it. You see in the early diagrams which I put up, there's not a lot of kit anymore. And the support is good. It is good. I'm not just saying that because he's sitting here, but they actually seem to know how all their stuff works, which is really useful when you phone them up. And they don't pass it down the line. One guy tends to stay with you, sort anything. We've not had any major problems. We had one memory DIMM went really early on. So it was fixed by, he checked it over the wire, he arranged for the part to come in, and we got a third-party engineer in the data center to go down, take off the top, take it out, and put in the new one. And then they checked again over the wire, yeah, it's absolutely fine. So the benefits, it is cheaper. There's no doubt about it. We don't own any data centers, and if you're renting 18 spaces, and then now you rent 2, you save quite a lot of money. Save a lot of money in Microsoft licenses as well. It's a lot more automated, it's less moving parts. We are far more responsive. When we need to fix things or make changes, it's far quicker. And again, we don't have people whose job is purely to look after tin. They don't exist in the team anymore. Teams completely change the way they operate. And we do believe we are achieving what we aim to do. That's my last slide.
Thank you very much. So I'll just finish off by some of the points that Jon made there. Clearly, Nutanix has got a great ecosystem of partners, a lot of which Jon's using. Now, this is key. This gives you that choice, that best of breed. Nutanix work with all of these guys here to to help make the solution easier to adapt, install, use, and support. Jon talked about a lot of the workloads that he's using as well. So really, you can use Nutanix almost on any virtualized workload that you've got, whether it's VDI, private, hybrid clouds. The branch office is a very interesting one that's coming out. We're bringing out some smaller, lower cost appliances, so are our OEM partners, that get to a price point that makes a lot of sense at the branch office. And if you're running that with an Acropolis hypervisor as well, okay, which does not come with a hypervisor license, you can drive cost out of the business, and you can virtualize a branch office where perhaps before you didn't want to virtualize it because the cost of virtualizing it alone with the licensing was prohibiting. Jon talked about what he's doing around disaster recovery as well, and clearly we're doing a lot with some of the guys like Splunk, who are here as well actually, so you could talk to them about how Splunk runs faster on a virtualized Nutanix environment than a bare metal environment. And when we told them that, they went, no, it doesn't, and we ran a POC with them, they became one of our customers immediately. So there's a lot of benefits from the companies here that you're seeing, whether it's Microsoft, Commvault, Cisco, Avaya, that we're working with, that really prove simplifying that traditional architecture to the Nutanix solution drives benefits into the business and really drives cost out of the business. We're growing massively. People like Jon, people like customers around the world are adopting our technology very, very quickly. Now, this changed the other day. We just sold into Kenya with our friends Lenovo. So we're almost touching, I don't know how many countries there are in the world, but a lot of them. The only thing that sticks on this slide is when we were founded in 2009. So we were less than 500 people 2 years ago. This is now closer to 2,000. And the reason why we're growing so fast is the adoption from customers like Jon. Oh, and also customers here. Almost in every sector. There isn't a vertical that we can't touch in a virtualized world. And some of the largest companies on the planet are using Nutanix. Not in entirety. You know, some of these big ones, we might only be 5–10% of their infrastructure. Unlike Jon, that's put his whole faith in Nutanix and moved everything onto our technology. You don't need to do that. You can start small, remember. Find a small project, whether it's branch office, VDI, have a look at it. Have a look at the technology. People like Gartner have put us as the most visionary company in what they're calling integrated systems, which is integrated, converged, hyperconverged. The market's not big enough at the moment just to do a hyperconverged. If it was, we'd be leading with about 52% market share according to IDC. But we're here for a reason, because we're continuously innovating. If you want to know more, come talk to Lenovo. Come and talk to us on our stand, and we'll go through it a lot more. Jon talked about our support. I've worked for a lot of American vendors, and as you grow through this journey, you do get unhappy customers sometimes. At Nutanix, I can honestly say we do not have any unhappy customers. Our support is second to none. We have top quality qualifications, 5–10 years experience. They will own the issues, own the problems, should you have them, and fix them very, very quickly. That's why we have things like a 90% NPS score, which is off the charts. That scale goes from -100 to +100. Most of the vendors that you're probably dealing with today have got a 30–40 score. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. I'll leave you with 2 closing comments around, if you go down a Nutanix, it's not about a technology, it's not about hardware. This is about a journey. It's moving from the old traditional 3-tier architecture that most of us got today into this new way of doing it. And remember, it's not new for the likes of Google, Facebook, Amazon. They've been doing it for 15 years. They've been doing it that way because it works. it really drives cost out of your business. And our mission is to absolutely simplify the data center and drive cost out of the business for you. Okay? There's another session straight after this one from Lenovo that are going to go into much more detail around the hardware elements of it. That's down in our theatre in the bottom right corner. We're here for the whole day. Please take time to come and talk to us if you wish. Thank you very much for your time.